Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Harris. Joining us today are a couple of individuals from one of my favorite places on island, and that is American Memorial Park. With us today, we have the lead ranger for interpretation of AMP, Brooke Nevitt, and also the education specialist for Pacific Historic Parks, Jovannalyn Mafnas. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Hafa. Thank you for having us.
Hi, everyone.
So great to have you out of the park and in the studio today to talk with us. But you guys really have a lot going on, as people can see in the newspaper. But Brooke, start us off with a little bit about what AMP represents and is all about.
Yeah, it's exciting for us to get out of the park. If you come, you'll probably see me or Jovannalyn or other rangers greeting you. And we spend a lot of our time there every day. But really, everything we do at the park reflects our mission. And the mission at American Memorial Park is to honor the American and Marianas people who died during World War II. And so we do a lot of activities for kids, and we work to, spread that mission every day.
Now, AMP, of course, is part of the National Park Service. What does that mean for us being connected to the national organization?
So there's over 400 national parks across the country, and we're one of them. And it brings a lot of resources to us, I think. And it does mean we have to follow federal rules and regulations, but it also means we can, bring those resources to the park and to the island. So.
Now, Jovannalyn, anybody who's been to the Visitor Center, of course, has probably browsed through the bookstore that's there and thought, probably mistakenly, that it was part of American Memorial Park or operated by the National Park Service, but actually you represent a different organization. Tell us about Pacific Historic Parks.
So I was brought on by Pacific Historic Parks, and we're a nonprofit organization, and we partner with the National Park Service. We have actually 5 parks, our main one being Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, 2 others in Hawaii, as well as War in the Pacific in Guam, and American Memorial Park on Saipan. And so there's 2 parts of our nonprofit organization. It's the retail, of course, the store, which brings in the funds for us to use in the park. So basically, everything that people buy at our stores goes into Pacific Historic Parks and is used by the National Park Service and us to run our education programs. So it pays a lot for that, for us to do programs that invite the community, for us to provide free transportation for schools to use to come and visit our museum and watch our movie and just come to the park.
Well, I do want to ask you a little bit later on to talk about some of the items you have there because it's really diverse. But you guys actually have a lot of programs going on right now that I'm not sure we're all going to fit in the show today, but let's do our best. You said that one of the main things that you want to do is get people just to come to the park and enjoy it. And you got this program called Every Kid in the Park. What's that about?
So Every Kid in the Park is one of the programs. We're excited about all our programs, and you'll hear that come out through us as we talk. But it's a program we're really excited about. It's in its 2nd year, is that right?
Yes.
And it was started by the Obama administration, and it's across the country. And we applied for funds, and we received them. And the concept is that we bring all 4th graders to the park. And this is happening at parks across the country so that, as kids get older, they have a relationship and a connection with their national parks. And so we're working this year, this is the 2nd year, to bring all of our 4th graders on Saipan to American Memorial Park. And so through the grant, we're able to provide transportation because we know that's a big challenge for getting our youth to, on field trips into the park. So we fund the transportation. We work closely with Pacific Historic Parks, and this year we've already brought almost all of our public school 4th graders to American Memorial Park. It's a 3-part program where the first part is we go to the classroom And we talk about the National Park Service, we talk about American Memorial Park, and we talk about the history behind it. Then we bring them to the park for a field trip where they tour our exhibit. They're given a guided tour through our exhibit. They watch our park film, and they go out and visit the memorials. And then the third part is a reflection opportunity for them to take some time to think about, you know, the connections that they created and what they learned during their visit. And so we're super excited about it, and we're working, you know, to make it 100% of our fourth graders to come to the park.
So what are some of the reactions the fourth graders have? Well, number one, have most of them been to the park before?
Excellent question. And I think, Jovannalyn, correct me if I'm wrong, but we asked, one of the things that struck me most, we asked that question, how many of your students have been to the park? And one thing that stands out is we asked one Garapan elementary school classroom. Garapan is very close to the park, but a significant number of their students said they hadn't been to the park before. And so we really want to provide that opportunity and that access, and also make it inviting, so people know that they're welcome and feel like they can come and use our resources every day.
And so how do the kids react when they come?
What do you think?
What are some of the reactions you're getting? Like, what wows them? That's what we want to know.
Yeah.
So they're super excited. You know, it starts with when we go out to visit them. Of course, you know, they have these people. They have myself and Ranger Brooke come out, and we do this presentation for them. And we get them excited about the National Park Service in general, but really sets every kid in the park apart from the other programs we run is that it's nationwide across the U.S. And not just that, is that every Kid in the Park program allows them to, each of the fourth graders, they get this pass. And basically what the pass is, if they can use the pass, basically allows them to take their families with them. And if they did visit any of the national parks in the U.S., they could get in for free.
Wow.
Yeah, so they actually could go to, let's say, Yellowstone, Grand Canyon. You know, you'd actually pay a fee just to get in, basically. But if you're riding in a rent-a-car, maybe with their family, everybody in their car comes in for free.
If they're a part of the Every Kid in the Park program. So if anybody's planning on going to the States this summer and visiting a national park, and you have a fourth grader,
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
you're in.
Yes, you are in.
And another thing we really emphasize every time we go out to the classrooms and bring people to the park is that this is your park. This is our park. And we really want our youth in particular to, you know, feel ownership of it.
It seems like you guys have a lot of new programs happening in the last year or 2 years. You gave me a list of things that we could talk about today, and most of them are not familiar, actually, like Education on Wheels. What is that all about?
So Education on Wheels, or we also know it as Find Your Park, it's a program where we basically offer it out to all the schools. Last year, it was actually, the main goal was targeted to ninth graders in high school. But this year, we decided to open it up to all the schools. We wanted to give everybody the opportunity, for teachers who are, you know, planning their lessons and which tie into what we have to offer them at the park. So basically, if it's World War II, if they're learning about the different administrations, anything about that relates to our park that they can use us as a resource, and it'll connect to the learning in the classroom, we like to invite them. And what they have to do is provide us with either a letter requesting, you know, the free busing, or provide us with a lesson plan that shows the connection. And that way we know, okay, this class needs it. They're learning about what we have to offer, and we can bring them. So basically, they just contact me. I set up everything with the schedule with Ranger Brooke and everything. We give them the opportunity for us to come into their classroom, and then we schedule a date for them to come to us. And that's all provided for. And we try to tie in what we have to offer them at the park based on what they're learning specifically. And so that's all covered under the Education on Wheels or Find Your Park program.
Wow, that's incredible, especially now that you've opened it to all interested grades, and that's a lot of kids. Are you sure you guys have enough money for all of this?
No. It's definitely on a first-come, first-served basis, so we're going to accommodate as many as we can this year. And then, like we do every year, we'll ask for additional funding so we can continue to build and grow our programs every year.
You know, and just to throw an idea out there, you know, after final exams, I think there's usually like a day or two where nothing really is happening except class parties or, you know, hanging out. So why not make the most of it and visit the park?
Please, come visit us.
Now, you got something else going on that's really kind of up my alley because it involves reading Rangers. What is that about?
So Reading Rangers was a program just started recently, and it's really just a love of reading, promote literacy.
Great.
We sell books at our bookstore, our Pacific Historic Parks bookstore in the park, and so we decided to use books from there that we're offering, out. We started with Sadako, actually. Ranger Brooke started that as a program that really touches the CNMI, as it's about a young girl, a Japanese girl, people are familiar, who was affected by the bombings in Japan, specifically the atomic bombs that were lifted off Tinian. So it really has that connection to us in the CNMI, specifically Tinian, as that's where the bombs were lifted off. And so we try to make that connection to World War II, and it touches youth because, they make that connection to this little girl who's going through this horrible ordeal with her health. And eventually, I don't want to kill the story, but...
you got to get the book.
Yeah, get the book. It's an awesome book. I know a lot of schools have heard about it. We just finished a program just 2 weeks ago, of Sadako. And the kids really took back a lot of things from that program, a lot of things about World War II. And it's a really sad time in history, but they learn a lot, and it makes it meaningful for them that we make that connection with them. And so Sadako is one. We have the Unbreakable Code, which talks about the Navajo code talkers who were actually in the story. It actually mentions that one of the Navajo code talkers that his life was based on it was on Saipan during the battle, and he just talks about how the island was devastated, and he never wants to see that happen to what he says in the book, a beautiful jewel in the Pacific. And so that's the connection too with the Navajo code talkers. So those are the two stories we've already finished. And we're looking to incorporate more and continue the program so more children can try them out. But so far, it's been a success. A lot of kids and parents have said, it's a great program, and we hope you guys continue it.
Now, at the bookstore or the store, you don't only have books, but you really have an eclectic mix of different things from the period and stuff specifically for kids and documentaries. Share with us some of your favorites or what comes to mind when you get excited about your bookstore at the visitor center.
Well, what gets me excited is, of course, I love the books. One of the books that really, as soon as I first went into that bookstore, that got me was is it Tears of...
We Drank Our Tears?
We Drank Our Tears,
Okay.
There you go. Just because it has stories written by my cousins of two of my grandparents from World War II and their experience. And so I feel that connection, because both several of my grandparents have, experienced the war and how it was like. And so that's my connection to the park, and that's what really calls to me. And so I love, books and stuff. So that's why, as a teacher myself for several years, I want to make that connection with kids, with literacy and inviting them to read a good book, as well as teach them about the history of our islands.
And I'll just put in a plug for our bookstore because it goes back and supports our work. But we also have, if you're looking for gifts for your off-island family, we have T-shirts and postcards and water bottles and model ships from, the World War II era, toys. It's bad news when my son comes to the park and goes into the bookstore. The bookstore is off limits for him. But we would also mention that teachers get a
10% discount.
10% discount.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And also veterans get a 10%
also.
discount as well.
Oh, wow,
So-
that's good to know. I hadn't known that before.
Yes.
And we have a good selection also, if you're into, history and a lot of books about Micronesia and the CNMI that maybe you can't find elsewhere on island. So definitely some of my favorites are available in the bookstore for sure.
And we like to keep in mind, we tell people, just remember that everything you buy in the bookstore comes back to our education program. So it's for a good cause.
Well, we're speaking today with Ranger Brooke Nevitt, the lead ranger for interpretation at American Memorial Park, and also education specialist Jovannalyn Mafnas of Pacific Historic Parks. And we'll be back with more programs after this break.
Hafa-day, this is Eulalia Areola of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. Did you know that you can donate up to $5,000 to the Humanities Council through the CNMI Education Tax Credit Program? Donations from individuals and corporations qualify and can be used to offset your local wage and salary tax, BGRT, and earnings tax. Call our office at 235-4785 to see how you can support humanities programs in our community and obtain a tax credit for your donation. Sizuus Maasi, Olomai, and thank you.
Welcome back to your Humanities Half Hour. Our guests today are Ranger Brooke Nevitt, Lead Ranger for Interpretation at American Memorial Park, and also Education Specialist Jovannalyn Mafnas of Pacific Historic Parks. Both long titles for a lot of stuff going on there in Garapan. Let's talk a little bit about another program you have called Art in the Park. I mean, everything, I said the Reading Rangers was up my alley, but like everything sounds so fun. It's like, is there an age limit for these things? Tell us about Art in the Park.
Art in the Park is open for everybody. And we just wrapped up our 4th session. This is the first year we've offered Art in the Park at American Memorial Park. Like I said about every kid in the park, and I'll say about everything else, we're super excited about it. And through Art in the Park, we were able to bring in 4 local artists to teach 4 different types of art to our community. And no, there wasn't an age limit. Everybody was invited.
Oh, I missed out on that one.
Little kids to grown-ups who are kids at heart. And so our first session was pastels, and it was led by Peter Aldon, who's a teacher at Cagman High. And also an amazing artist. And, we provide all the materials.
Wow.
And we did have a sign-up sheet. So we filled up quickly, I'd say, in the first few days.
Yeah, first
And we had a long waiting list. So we weren't able to accommodate everybody, but we're going to work to continue the program and grow it in the years forward. So Peter Aldon led our first session, which was pastels. And our second session was beading with Auntie Emmy, Peter. And she taught, the traditional beading, and that was an awesome opportunity for everybody. Our third session was photography with Sylvan Tudela from Chetlu Photos. And our fourth session, which wrapped up last Saturday, was banana painting with Joy Rankin, whose dad created that form of art. So we've had up to between 40 and 50 participants at each session, ranging from 2 to 3 years old to
102,
yes,
maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And people created amazing art, and so we want to demonstrate. We're going to show that art off next Saturday, April 15th, and I'll let Jovannalyn talk a little bit about that.
So to end off Art in the Park, we decided to have a gallery. So we wanted to display all the awesome artwork that all the participants provided. The pictures that they did were submitted, and we're going to have that printed out. And we just want to display their artwork because, of course, the goal was to be inspired by the park and produce these awesome artwork. And some of them are amazing. They have great artwork that they have left with us to display. And so we're going to have a gallery on April 15th. Together with that gallery, we're also going to kick off National Park Week that starts on April 15. And April 15 is also Junior Ranger Day. So we're going to have several things happening
it's like a huge
that
party.
day. Yes. So to kick off National Park Week, have Junior Ranger Day, and display the artwork with the gallery from Art in the Park. National Park Week, we're going to be showing some movies by
Ken Burns is an amazing documentarian. Is that a word? He does amazing documentaries, and he did a documentary on the National Park Service, national parks, and then also talks about the National Park Service. So we're going to be showing those documentaries at our park theater during National Park Week.
Okay. And what about Junior Ranger Day? What's that all about?
Yes, for Junior Ranger Day, we're inviting you could say all the kids in the community come out. If you haven't had the chance to become a Junior Ranger, we're going to be giving out activity books. And once they're completed, they can bring it to our visitor center anytime during National Park Week, and they claim this Centennial Junior Wooden Badge. And so it's a Junior Ranger badge, as well as we're going to have some activities for the younger kids, or maybe the activity book's a little bit too hard. So we're going to have different activities that day just to invite families to come. On that Saturday, just to enjoy the park, maybe invite them to come to our exhibit and watch the movie and so forth.
So what are the times on that event? That's a Saturday, correct?
Yes.
What time are you opening?
So the park opens every day, 9 to 5. We're open 362 days a year. We're only closed on Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's. But that activity, we're going to be kicking off our gallery. Our artists will be joining us, and we'll be starting at 9 in the morning. And that will go, the Art in the Park gallery will go 9 to 12. And then Junior Ranger Day will be happening 9 to 12 as well. And then I think we'll be showing the film all day.
Yes.
Wow, this just sounds like a great opportunity if you have not yet been to the park or you haven't been in a while. Sounds like a great morning to come out and just enjoy. And I just get excited listening to you guys talk about all these programs because it's such an opportunity for parents to create good memories with their kids. You know, I can see the kids growing up and, I remember when we used to go to American Memorial Park and we used to do this, you know, so that's really wonderful.
One thing I really enjoy seeing is when our local community members come in and we have pictures on the walls of grandparents and great-grandparents, and for parents or grandparents to show those connections and for kids to make those connections with their history is always a wonderful thing to see.
Now, you mentioned earlier some tours available for schools, and then you also have a program specifically for teachers, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is our second year offering the Teacher Ranger Teacher program. And
say again?
Teacher Ranger Teacher. It's a tongue twister. And we love it. And actually, Jovannalyn is a product of the Teacher Ranger Teacher program.
Okay.
She was our Teacher Ranger Teacher last summer. So if we want to talk a little bit.
So Teacher Ranger Teacher, or TRT as we like to call it, we were very fortunate last year to have our very first Teacher Ranger, and that was me. And so it was a great opportunity. I really recommend it to teachers who are interested. We have a couple of teachers, we just announced it, but a couple of teachers have already asked for applications, and it's an awesome opportunity. It's a partnership with the University of Colorado, Denver, where if a teacher applies for it, because they're off in the summer, of course, so if they take this opportunity, the first thing is they get to take this 3-credit course on experiential learning, and it's an awesome course. It really opens your eyes to all the parks around the United States, you know, not just our park, and makes that connection for teachers, as well as its main goal is to find a way to connect teachers to the park so that you can bring it back to the schools and find a way to use your park as a resource. So during the program, the teacher is asked to, create a program where they're going to invite the community to the park. And that is their main focus during the summertime. At the end of the program, once they complete the coursework and complete their project and their hours at the park, they actually get a $3,000 stipend at the completion. So it's a great opportunity. It's a really good learning experience for teachers. It was for me, and I think a lot of whoever the teacher we select this year, will take a lot from it this year.
Now, you said you participated in this last year, so you were a teacher then?
Yes, this is my first year.
And now, and now you've gone to the dark side, and you're working for Pacific Historic Park. So beware to any teachers. You might just actually fall in love with the park and want to work there after this program.
Yes.
So what about during the summer? You guys have anything going on when school is not in session for teachers or students to avail of?
So we have 2 upcoming programs that are planned for the summer. The first one that's coming up in June, and that's going to be our Junior Ranger Academy or Junior Ranger Camp, where we're inviting kids to register, and it's going to be a 3-day program, all day. And so we're still in the works of planning all that out, but it's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting, and we're hoping for a good turnout and lots of parents to, come and register their kids, because it's going to be a great experience for them. The second one we have is Soldier Skills, and this is going to be our second year. I started the Soldier Skills last summer, and so it's a way for kids to come to the park, and it targets 2 skills, which is basically we're focused on using a compass around the park as well as a GPS global positioning system, right? And so we use it with geocaching. It's not familiar. A lot of people are not really familiar with geocaching, but basically things are hidden, and it's like a treasure hunt for kids, and actually adults take part in as well. But we give them coordinates around the park last year, and we hide little things with stuff from the park, and they basically input the coordinates into the GPS system, which we provide for the program, of course. And the kids go out and they hunt for it. And when they find the geocache, they're allowed to take one thing from the cache and sign their name in that they found it, and then leaves other people the opportunity to go and find the cache as well. So when they take something out, actually in actual geocaching, they have to put something back in for somebody else to find. So it's really fun. The kids took a lot from it last year, right, Brooke? And it was fun, and they enjoyed it, especially the older kids with the geocaching. The younger kids, it was a little more difficult for them, so they used more of the compasses than the GPS.
You guys have way too much fun. I can't believe you're getting paid to do all this stuff. This is like, we're going to go out and play with a bunch of kids, do art, go hiking, or whatever. And this is totally awesome. But so how many people on staff do you actually have assisting with these things?
So we've actually been growing our staff at the visitor center, which is where I am. There's me, and I have a full-time ranger, as well as 2 part-time. They're called pathways. So they're interns, they're NMC students, and they work with us part-time every week. So there's us. And we have Jovannalyn, she's the education specialist. The bookstore has some wonderful women there that work to man the retail side of it. And at the park, we also have our chief ranger, and he is our enforcement officer, Jason Tinney. And then we have our admin officer, Rosleon Guerrero, and then we have our amazing maintenance staff, and they work hard every day to keep our park beautiful for the public.
And do I understand correctly that you also recruit volunteers for some of these activities?
Yes. We are always looking for volunteers to support our work at the park. And so we encourage you, if you're interested in volunteering, we have a lot of high school students who need credit hours, college students who need community service hours, and even if you don't need official community service hours, but you want to volunteer and learn more about the park, please come down, see us at the visitor center, and we can find something that works for you.
I wanted to give you both an opportunity to share some final thoughts before you go. But before I do that, I just want to ask, are there any common do's or don'ts that you would like to make people aware of when they come to the park? Maybe some things that you see people that they could do or that they shouldn't do that you would just like to take this opportunity to make them aware of?
One thing that just happened at the park is we have installed automatic doors that you push.
At the visitor center?
Yes, at the visitor center, to make our visitor center more accessible for everybody. We'd like everybody to know that to push the button, but you don't have to pull it shut. It seems minor, but it's been a regular issue since we installed
I can see myself
doors.
shutting the door.
Yes,
so you just give it
a push and leave it, and it does the work for you.
And it will open.
That's something we just would like everybody to know.
Don't break the doors. Let's not break the new doors.
Thank you very much. And people are very responsible and respectful at our park, but we ask, just like you do across, the rest of the island and CNMI, is if you bring something with you, please take it home with you. Our park is very large, and we work hard to keep it clean, but we need the help of everybody around the island to make it a place that is safe and fun and enjoyable for all of us.
All right. Jovannalyn, any final thoughts before we go?
So far, I think Brooke touched on everything. Our main goal, of course, just to say it again, is we're really inviting everybody to come to the park. So that's something we want. We want you guys to know that it's your park. It's not our park. It's not for our tourists that come in. Please come to our park. Go through the exhibit, the museum with your family. Come watch the short 20-minute film on World War II. We've had some good reviews. It's a good short film to watch. So we really want everybody to feel welcome. It's not like we're inviting everybody. Please come to your park. It's your park. It's for everybody to enjoy.
Yep, our park is for everybody. Our local community, our visitors, we want everybody to feel welcome. We work hard. When anybody walks in the door, we welcome them to the park and ask how we can help them and make it a memorable experience. And we would like to remind everybody that our visitor center is free. It's open to the public 9 to 5 every day, again, except for Christmas, New Year's, and Thanksgiving.
All right. Well, again, our guests today have been Ranger Brooke Nevitt, the lead ranger for interpretation at American Memorial Park, and also Education Specialist Jovannalyn Mafnas of Pacific Historic Parks. Stop by the park anytime soon. They're lovely ladies. They'd love to help you out. There's a lot going on there. And, of course, it's, as they said, it's our park, too. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Harris.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.